Neat Nation, good evening. Welcome back to episode dose of Bucket List Bottles. This is the series that I'm doing in honor of my brother who's currently in a cancer fight, stage 4. Not great, but this is a way, one of several ways that I'm working to try and help in any way I can here in Wisconsin. So if you dig the content, well, a way you could say thank you is by just dropping him a few bucks in his GoFundMe in the show notes below. That would be swell of you. Shout out to the many members of Nation who have already done so after my last video. So thank you very much. If you missed last week's video, it was where I popped Old Scout 12 single barrel. And my goodness, it was a way to start off. It was delicious, delightful, delectable, things of that nature. Big fan of that bottle, and we'll enjoy the snot out of it in the weeks, months, maybe years to come. I'm gonna drink it. As I've opened it, I'm obligated now. It's just a matter of when. It's going to be hard to not reach for it, though, I'll say that, because it was truly phenomenal. I think there's probably a video in my future of, like, replaying some of my favorites, especially as we get a few more of these whiskeys open. Today is a slight variation. It's bucket list bottles, but it's one that I had popped for a live stream, it's like 2 years ago. Just like a tiny little tasty taste, and it's been a long time since I've had it, so I'm going to get into that bottle. I literally put it away after opening it. And the bottle for this week is Wild Turkey Master's Keep Cornerstone Rye. The oldest rye, I believe, ever released by Wild Turkey, so that's pretty dank. And it's gorgeous, right? I'm sorry, I just opened that up and I'm just teasing y'all. Would you just look at that? Just look at that. Would you look at that? I love these bottles. I had previously killed a bottle of Decades, and I have a backup to that, which is unopened for now, and also Revival, which is unopened. But tonight we're going to do Cornerstone, and my acclamation for this is also a little bit of a kind of content bonus for today's video. I have a touch of my bottle of Rare Breed Rye left, so I thought it would be good to revisit that. Since we're tasting Wild Turkey Rye, let's start with a Wild Turkey Rye to get the palate ready. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that the Rare Breed Rye, I was disappointed. I mean, to not put too fine a point on it, it wasn't my favorite. But this is from that bottle, a lot of airtime. I was making space, so I put it in a little thing, which is sticky on the bottom somehow. That's not great. Let's get into it. Rare Breed Rye. One of my biggest problems with this was Rare Breed Bourbon is so killer, like so sweet, good age on it, like has got a nice, robust girth, like oaky presence, and I'm, love that, of course. And so there's some expectation, right, with the Rare Breed brand that you'd think the rye would kind of follow suit. But on the nose, you get nothing really in the way of like wood. It's super citrusy, like big time sweet lemon, and then this grassy, not even like dill, not like rich green herbs, but grass. It's like sweet lemon and grass. Not too dissimilar from like Turkey 101 rye, which is not bad. Like, hear me out. It's not bad. It's not a bad rye, but given the big step up you get when you go from Wild Turkey 101 bourbon to Rare Breed bourbon, I expected something similar in the quality department. Have not experienced that. Just super light on the nose, but on the palate, it's more of same, like a pronounced medicinal bitterness. The aspirin note that I get with whiskey that's just not great. So yeah, I I can't overexpress my disappointment in this. If you're a Rare Breed Rye fanboy, I would like you to hit me up in the comments below and tell me what you like about it. Because for me, for the money, like the fact that I had to work to get that bottle when it was first released, major letdown. Like, I may have shouted it out previously as one of the biggest dang letdowns that I've had in American whiskey. And I stand by it. This is, like, there's a reason it took me so dang long to get through the bottle. It's just not, I don't enjoy it. So, I'll mix it in something. Take it away. Now, I had tasted that before my initial tasting of Cornerstone. I have tasted Cornerstone before, so it's less of a risk, mind you, than the Old Scout 12 single barrel bottle opening was. But I was a little nervous going into the Cornerstone opening, given my absolute distaste, dare I say loathing, for Rare Breed Rye. Thankfully, I was not disappointed when I popped the Cornerstone. I think this is all I'm going to drink tonight, so let's get a nice hearty pour, balanced pour. It is Tuesday after all, we don't want to get too carried away. It's a heck of a Tuesday though, guys, jeepers. Had to get an emergency 9 in at the end of the day, get my wiggles out, because yikes. That's the way it be sometimes though, like not all days can crush. Before we get into the tasting, a little bit more about this bottle. This came out, 3 years ago or something like that. It was like the highest MSRP for the Master's Keep at the time at $180. I knew it was gonna go kind of quick. It didn't go as quick as I thought it would, but I did pay MSRP for it. I got it off the shelf. You can't get really Master's Keeps off the shelf anymore. What a bummer. And I was glad I did, because it quickly, not immediately, but quickly became really hard to get, and is hard to get now, and is a very special bottle in that it's the oldest rye that Wild Turkey at the time had released, and I think maybe it's still that way. So kind of a special bottle in that regard. I think the only rye, straight rye, that has shown up in the Master's Keep selection. It was kind of the year of the rye. That was the same year that Parker's did their heavy char rye. You know, people mimic each other. Time is a flat circle. There's nothing new under the sun. All right, nose on this bad boy. We get the oak. We get the oak that was missing in Rare Breed. You know what? Maybe they took the oak that was supposed to be in Rare Breed and they just put it in Cornerstone. Much deeper sweetness. It's not just lemon. Like, there is some citrus around, but it's probably moved into that candied orange, maybe caramelized orange category. The spice is kind of in that anise. I prefer to say anise. It sounds less anatomical. You know, not too dissimilar from a black licorice, which I'm not a big black licorice guy, but I don't mind it on the nose, and a well-aged whiskey. It's kind of right at home there. And some fruit on it, some like nice ryes or rye heavy bourbons. I get kind of a raspberry, you know, this kind of red fruit. It's not like strawberry, not that sweet. The licorice is starting to punch a little more. Let's get into the palate. Palate is like both pepper heavy, black pepper, kind of sharp, and also heavy. Like, it hits your palate, and it's like this contrast between a sharp kind of jab, but then a woo. Is that a tasting note? Probably not. But that's the tactile sensation. It's got a lot of like oily viscosity, but then the proof hits. Like, it's not a smooth whiskey. It's not a crushable whiskey, but it is a delicious whiskey. It's complicated. The raspberry I got on the nose, it's sort of present. It's more like, I had these candy raspberry and blackberry things. They're super gummy, but then they got like this crunchy shell on them. They look like dried raspberry, blackberry things. I don't know where you get them. Maybe like maybe it's like the Cabela's candies. Kind of tastes like that, which I enjoy those very much. So I'm pro that note. The black pepper is hitting me though, like a lot of. The oak is kind of burned, so it's not the oak isn't the sweetest ever. The herbaceousness though is nice in that it brings some greenery to the party. I do think like complicated is the best way to describe this one. It's really good, and some days the flavor kind of pops for me more than others. I probably had 1 or 2 pours of this particular whiskey in other places, so this is my second pour out of this bottle. Today though, it's really black pepper heavy, honestly. I wonder how many of you probably empathize with this. Some days I just taste better. Some days I feel like I extract more. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really, my palate is welcoming to the whiskey, and I taste a lot. Other days it's like, gosh, for whatever reason, maybe it's because I went golfing, maybe my allergies, who's to say, maybe something I ate. We had a taco bake for dinner, not too spicy, but it's been a while. I had ice cream, kind of cleansed the palate after that, so with a passion fruit curd, amazing. Sweetness is very molassesy, definitely deeper than honeys, nectars, not really as sweet as a brown sugar. You know, molasses, sweet, but it's got kind of that like strung out kind of vibe, a dankness, if you will. Yeah, licorice, molasses, kind of a dry, burned oak, black pepper. Kind of all I have to say about that. I'm pro this whiskey, and I actually, now that I'm into it, I want to come back to it on another day. But hey, this is the day I'm recording, so apologies if the palate ain't at prime. I will say I'll be disappointed if this is all I pull out of it as I go. We'll see. Stay tuned. Before I hang up, just for the sake of giving you your money's worth too, I'm going to rinse this Glencairn because do I want to clean a lot of Glencairns? No. It's hard enough to set the camera up, guys. And then the editing takes longer than you think. Doesn't take that long, but maybe longer than you think. So I want to do a quick palate check, and see. I'm very familiar with this Redemption 10-year rye. Kind of like compare the two. So this Redemption 10-year, again, if you watch the channel, you're deep in the Drew P way, you know that the Redemption Rye I'm a big proponent of. 10-year-old rye whiskey for not $180, for like $100 or less. It's good value. Hard to beat. The nose on this punches a little bit more. I get the candy ginger note, which I'm a big fan of in some well-aged ryes. I get those in Michter's a lot. Sweetness is coming out more mapley. So this is a very, very good rye. Big fan of this rye. It's like a reminiscence of dill. It's like if you covered dill in black pepper and then caramelized it with a maple syrup caramel, and then sprinkled a little candied ginger over it. That's this whiskey with a raspberry on the side. This one, it doesn't have the drippy sweetness, the maple that this has. I mentioned a little more molassesy, not quite as the Brix readings. If you're measuring sweetness in a syrup, you measure it in Brix. Lower Brix, I would say. Yeah, more licorice, more black pepper, less sweetness. Still good, not as good as this. That's my take. I'll save this for some wild turkey fressers who happen to roll through the house. When they roll through the house, I'll still enjoy the snot out of it. I hope you enjoyed the snot out of this video. Check back with me next Monday. New video Mondays. We're back, people. I'm planning to do a live. If I didn't do a live already last week, then I'm going to do a live very soon with my friend Brian Bikey. So just keep your notifications on the YouTubes here. And Brian and I will show up one evening for you, and we'll hang out just like old times. It's going to be fun. In the meantime, don't forget, if you, again, like the stuff and you want to leave a couple bucks for my brother, his GoFundMe is right below. And that's all I got for this week. Appreciate you all very much. Have a great rest of your week. And keep it neat, okay?